Hi, everybody. This is the Predominantly Football Podcast, where we talk about a wide variety of sports, but predominantly football. Today, we're going to be doing a NFL tier ranker with all 32 teams. So we got our four categories. As you can see, we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I'm joined here today by
Ben Fernal in the flesh. These are our faces. We are sex gods.
and Cole Isaacson.
Virtually, yay. Technology.
We're in our time zone, though. That's good.
Yeah, finally.
Just letting everybody know there's a possibility of a slight interruption later, and we'll have to change locations. But for now, we're good. Let's get right into it. We got a lot to talk about. We've already talked about half of it because this is the second time we've had to record.
It's more like
everything.
the 50th time we've had slight mishaps.
Scott, what about the fire?
Some of which have been caused by me.
There were some technical difficulties earlier.
Are we going to light the fire?
Yeah, I'm about to. We're starting the intro now. Thanks as always to Big C for that.
Thanks, Big C.
It's so awkward to be on camera.
Yeah,
while you guys
normally
are
I just get up and move around.
Yeah.
I got to say, one of these days, I'm going to time it perfectly to where I mouth Big C. And he says it, and it's going to be awesome. I can never get it, though. I can never get it. Even, like, I try this when we do our podcast, and I can never get it. And I will eventually, and it'll be amazing.
So let's get into it. Obviously, Super Bowl is Super Bowl contenders. The best playoff contenders is the teams that we think are going to make the playoffs or are going to be fringe playoffs. So
like the Redskins.
Any team that we think is going to make it or be really close to making it goes there. Mediocre is any team that's probably from the range of 5-11
like
to
the Saints.
5-11 to 9-7-ish, and then rebuilding is the teams that are tanking / trading players away to build for the future, getting more draft picks.
Like the Broncos. Oh, no, that was accurate. Sorry, Cole.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so
hey, I could have said Patriots.
Let's get into it. This time we're starting with a different team than last time. We got through half of this.
The division, and they're not, like, lined up to each other. 3 teams in a division right next to each other.
Yeah, so
we special precautions.
Ironically, this is the team that we left off with when we realized this whole thing stopped recording. So it's almost like a continuation.
Yeah, so you guys won't realize this, but so we're starting with Philadelphia. Cole, what do you think?
I think playoff contender because that defense is awesome. The defensive line is arguably one of the best in the league still with Malik Jackson, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. I like Carson Wentz when he's healthy. I think that the big question is, can he stay there? And I think that the reason why the receiving core was so bad last year is because Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey were out most of the year.
A moth just landed on my face. Let the video. A moth flew into me.
We should probably go back to the only one can get seen when the moths start hitting us.
Yeah, show some instant replay on that. I like their running back. I like Miles Sanders, and I think that they have arguably one of the best offensive lines in the league. And when you have one of the best offensive lines in the league, there's, I don't see any reason why you can't win those games. However, I'm not going to put them at Super Bowl. I think they're a playoff contender, especially because their division is pretty weak. So I don't see why they can't win that division.
Yeah, they're a wild card team in any other division, but in that division, they're up for winning it.
I think they're really. I would say they would win a lot of divisions, but they're not Super Bowl contenders like they are in our other season. They're playoff contenders. I agree. Carson Wentz is really good when he's healthy,
which is still few and far between.
Yeah, their receiver core got better, and they shouldn't be getting as hurt as often. Their defense is one of the best in the league, and their offensive line is one of the best in the league. It's hard to put them anywhere below playoff contenders.
Yeah.
Wentz gets hurt, they might have Jalen Hurts. That might be a reason why.
Yeah, we
Which
talked
you-
about that
Yeah,
last episode.
you guys should watch our podcast. I'm sure some of you do. If you don't.
It's a good binge.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good if you're like on a plane or doing anything really.
Yeah.
At work, watch it at home. Watch it on a 13-hour car ride here from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put Philadelphia in the playoff contenders, and let's move on to Miami, who we have talked about already.
Well, I'm going to say basically the same thing that I said last time. I think that the Dolphins have a lot of good pieces. I love their corners. I think that Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, that's one of the better tandems in the league. I think they drafted what they hope will be the quarterback of the future into Tagovailoa. Devontae Parker is awesome. And I still think that they have a lot of holes to fill, especially on the offensive line, which is one of the more important areas in order for a football team to succeed. So for that reason, I think that they are still rebuilding.
I think.
Yeah,
I think
like
Ben said it best.
like I said last time, if rebuilding was a 1-year process, everybody would rebuild.
Yeah.
You can't just blow everything up and then the next year be Super Bowl contender. It just doesn't work that way. They're still rebuilding. They might be rebuilding this time next year.
Yeah.
But they're at a spot where if we were halfway into the season, they could be a mediocre if they're winning games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, just based on what we know, they're still rebuilding.
I think that you always see those teams where it's like basically every season there's a team that goes from worst in their division to first in their division. They win like 4 games one year, and then they win like 10 the next, and they win their division. It was San Francisco last year, Chicago the year before that. If you want to pick a team to do that this year, it could be Miami, especially with the division that they are in. The Dolphins could easily go from worst to first this. Well, not easily, but they could go from worst to first this year.
A lot of divisions are up for grabs.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
I see in that division. I see at least 2 teams that are better, maybe 3, depending
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
New
the Jets
York.
and the Bills are really good.
But there's always one every year, and I think that this is not a bad pick for that team.
The Jets just always find a way to hang around in playoff contention. Let the tier show that the Jets are Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, which is you guys will never see, sadly. But
It's the rip. It was so good. It was so good.
I'm hurt deeply by the fact that we have to do this again. But Miami, you know,
You just charged your phone.
I did charge my phone. Miami, you know, they drafted a lot. They got much better than they were the last year, but there's still holes in their team. They have a lot of building left to do, and for that reason, it's going to take more time. They're getting there, but they're not there yet. That's what I would like to say.
They are absolutely a better team than they were last year, but that's still not good enough to be out of rebuilding.
Yeah, so let's put them there, right, in rebuilding. Moving on to Kansas City, we also have already talked about.
I think City is a rebuilding team. I don't have faith in their quarterback. I don't know what they're doing drafting a running back at 32. Like, we talked about it the other night. Why are you replacing Damian Williams? This should not be happening.
If you watch our podcast, you'll understand that joke.
You're just like, yeah, I agree with them. What are they doing in that move?
That's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna drop inside jokes that you're only gonna understand if you watch our previous podcast.
Videos or somehow here as we were filming our previous sessions.
Yeah, I think that they're Super Bowl contender. Come on.
This is a quick one. I said this.
Everything that Ben said is the opposite in reality. They drafted and they got better there. They didn't lose anybody. I know, but they got better.
I know. Let the record show that Scott Lebo is a liar.
I'm gonna say that, you know, like I said earlier, they have the potential to in the future kind of fall apart because they're gonna have to pay a lot of guys a lot of money. But right now, I don't see any signs pointing to them falling apart. So right now,
I think
contender.
It's not up to the Chiefs to prove that they're the best team in the league. They proved that in February. It's up to the other 31 teams to prove that they are better than the Chiefs. They are the Super Bowl champions, and they deserve the respect, like all the respect in the world, especially because they didn't really get much worse in the offseason. So this is the only spot for them.
Yeah.
Even last year, after Mahomes threw the 50 touchdowns, they lost the AFC Championship game. Teams were still getting compared to them. They're like, Baltimore's good, but could they beat the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this year I don't see them being any worse than they were last year. In the future, they could fall apart, but I don't see it happening this year. It's all about money because of the salary cap, and right now the salary cap isn't really an issue because they don't need to go out and buy anybody or pay anybody right now.
Yeah.
In the future, it could be a major issue. Right now, it isn't. Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, they're going to give Patrick Mahomes a lot of money, so we'll see what happens with that. But right now, yeah, they don't need to sell anybody. That's the big thing.
I think this is another easy one that we can get through really fast. Baltimore, Super Bowl contender.
Super Bowl contenders. Yeah. Of course, the Steeler fan disappears, but
I'm down here on the floor because I realized that I said Baltimore was good last year, and then I immediately went into shock.
Yeah.
It pains me to say this, and I cry myself to sleep every night knowing that Baltimore is the Super Bowl contender. Now I need to go wash my mouth out with bleach.
And I said this in the last one, which I'm disappointed it didn't get recorded, but I think the Ravens they got better in the place that ruined them in January. Derrick Henry ran all over them. They traded for Calais Campbell. They fixed the problem. They did. They got better at run defense. I think that the Ravens, they're 14-2, and it's hard to be better than 14-2. And I'm not saying they will go 14-2 again, or even 13-3, but they got better. So it's going to be up to the other teams to get better to beat them, except for maybe Kansas City.
Yeah, of course, they won't go 14-2 because the Steelers are going to beat them twice a year handily.
So I'm gonna say what I said last time. They have probably the best run game in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson can do pretty much anything he wants. He's an incredible player. Their run game is incredible. They have a great offensive line. They run straight at you, and if they don't, they have Lamar Jackson who can beat you in any way he wants to. Their defensive line is strong. Their linebackers are strong. Their secondary might be a little bit weak, but still very strong. Super Bowl contender. Pretty easy.
I would disagree with you on the secondary. I like their secondary. Marcus Peters, Brandon Carr. Who else they got?
Last year their secondary underperformed. So
yeah, they got a lot of big names there. I wouldn't be surprised if they got better too.
They need to be mediocre.
Okay.
They don't get top.
So we're moving on to
the
Minnesota.
other team.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is one we didn't get to. This is a new discussion.
Yeah, it's a new team. Playoff contenders. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders.
No, I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders.
They're always one piece away. Whatever that may be. Hard to quantify. Do they need a safety? Do they need a cornerback? Do they need another pass rusher? Could they use another lineman?
Yeah.
They're always one piece away. Something just doesn't work. And it's a shame because I really like this team.
Cole, what do you think?
Yeah, they are always one piece away. Last year it was corner. Xavier Rhodes got beat a lot. And they still put him on the number one guy because he was their best corner last year. And, he got beat a lot. I think wide receiver is going to be that position this year because, Justin Jefferson, good, and Adam Thielen, if he can stay healthy, I think that's going to be the key. They're hoping that Justin Jefferson can be their Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
If that can happen, then that position will not screw them over. But if he underperforms, then that's going to be an issue.
I think no matter what, in my mind, no matter his performance, they're a really good team.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're at least a 9-win team.
Yeah, they're not the Saints. They don't have as good receivers, and they don't have as good quarterbacks, and they don't have as good running back play. Their defense isn't as good either.
It's just funny because they beat the Saints.
And I always beat the Saints in the playoffs.
They went to the Superdome and they beat the Saints, and they didn't get lucky. They beat the Saints. They earned that win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that final drive was really impressive.
Yeah.
Minus the
Saints fans will complain.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for the Saints fan, but most of you complain. You might be one of them. I'm waiting to see what they'll complain about.
Yeah,
they'll probably finish 8th and complain that there should be another playoff seed added.
I think Kirk Cousins is he's all right. He's pretty good. He's top 10.
He's pretty good.
and he's ninth or 10th best quarterback in the NFL. Dalvin Cook is one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
Adam
Criminally
Thielen has a
underrated.
really high upside, and their defense has a really high upside.
Mike Zimmer.
I think pretty good is a way to describe this team. Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're good.
I don't think pretty good's enough to win a Super Bowl, though. That's the thing.
No,
You know, pretty.
and I think we'll all agree on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good. Teams don't win the
We're
Super
good.
All right. So we're on to Atlanta. Another one.
I'd like to start with this one.
Go ahead.
To spoil it a little, we did say the Bears were the definition of mediocrity. So is this team.
Yeah.
This is mediocrity at its finest. Because they're stuck with the core that they have. I think Matt Ryan, Julio Jones aren't going anywhere, and they're not getting any younger. I don't see this team winning more than 8 games.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Their defense was their defense. This is mediocrity because they're not going to lose. I don't think they're going to lose 5 games. I mean, I don't think they're going to lose 11 games, right? They're not only going to win 5 games. They're stuck in that zone. They're stuck in the 6 to 8 win zone, I think. So they're not going to get a top pick, and they're stuck with the contracts that they have on their Super Bowl 51 players. And yeah, they're stuck there.
They literally did this last year. They were going along, maybe halfway through the year or so. We're like, okay, they're going to be a top 5 team. They can get somebody who will really help them win. And then they just decide that we're going to win games because we like Dan Quinn. And they won games, and they're going to do it again. They're going to win games when.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they're the most NFL players are the most competitive guys on the planet. You don't want to lose. Every team here's goal is Super Bowl. But the Falcons should not be winning games. You need to lose games to be good in a couple years.
And mediocrity isn't getting people to their games. That's the bottom line. Like on the Thanksgiving game that was nationally televised. Late in that game, the stands are pretty empty. The Rams game, pretty empty. The people aren't showing up to the Falcons games anymore. And I think in order to do that, you're going to have to tear it down and then build it back up with a different core. And I think that might mean bye-bye Julio,
Yeah.
That's the things that have to happen.
Matt Ryan, we love you. Number 2 is I don't know if they do rafters. No, they don't. Number 2 is probably going to be I don't know how often they retire numbers in the NFL.
I think he's gonna be on like the Ring of Honor or whatever they have down there.
Equivalent of getting your number retired, but it's got to be close to sayonara for Matt Ryan.
Yeah, and I gotta say, they need to do it this year because Devonta Freeman left in free agency.
Yeah,
you can't let another. You just can't.
And they got. Here's the thing. I don't think they're going to do it this year because they went out and got Todd Gurley in free agency. I think the Falcons' mind is still set in that we can be what we were.
We were one quarter away from the Super Bowl.
You can't.
We're one quarter away from the Super Bowl. No,
you're not. You're years away from that.
That game has screwed them over in more ways than because they're still riding that Super Bowl because they're still saying we just got to get over the hump that was Super Bowl 51. But it's past that.
I think it's like somebody's girlfriend dumped the Falcons. The Falcons' girlfriend dumped them, and they're stuck. They haven't moved on. They're stuck there. It's time to move on. Find the new soulmate, Falcons. You can do it.
If I send her one more bouquet of roses, then
I would say like
she's
the Falcons
dating the Buccaneers now.
The Falcons are in a toxic relationship with their older players, and they for whatever reason won't break up with them, and it's keeping them from finding the relationship that results in marriage, which is Super Bowl.
This is why loyalty might not be the best thing at the NFL for teams.
Yeah, it's a tough conversation to have.
Yeah, I mean,
because I love Matt Ryan. I love Julio Jones. I don't want them to go. It's hard to imagine them in a different uniform. It's really hard to. It's just I think it has to happen for the betterment of the Atlanta Falcons.
So I think we're all in agreement here. Let's move on to San Francisco.
Ice is still the dumbest
San Francisco.
of all time.
Cole, what do you think about San Francisco?
It's hard to put them anywhere else but Super Bowl. They went to the Super Bowl for a main reason, and that for two main reasons: their defensive line, and they could run the football. Those are the two reasons why they got there. That they traded away Buckner, DeForest Buckner.
And they got
Didn't they draft Kinlaw? Right.
Yeah, younger
They got the
DeForest
cheaper replacement for DeForest Buckner in the draft,
Buckner. Right.
and their running backs haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
They have so much depth at that, arguably too much.
Yeah.
Why Matt Breida has been on the trade block for so long, but it's just they haven't gotten worse. So I don't think that you can put them any lower than Super Bowl contender because they haven't given us a reason to.
I think it's like Tennessee though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's like Tennessee, which is something that we talked about in the last bit. So
You guys missed out on.
yeah, we'll have the same talk again later. So we're not gonna talk about it. I think San Francisco offensively, and
So
I
bad.
would never ever put them anywhere lower than playoff contender, but that's where I'm gonna put them because offensively they're so one-dimensional that if somebody figures out their system, how to play against it,
Right.
it's like the Bears a few years ago and the Rams a few years ago that like they get good all of a sudden because they have this new offensive scheme, something that's new and nobody's ever seen before. You know, Sean McVay was a genius back then because, oh my gosh, he did something that nobody's ever done before, and now they're good.
Now
Well,
everybody-
I'm gonna Ben, you go.
Yeah, like Sean McVay revolutionized it.
Mhm.
People were able to stop him.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, 50 touchdowns. Still, he
He was
was
still
an
very good,
incredible
but-
player the next year, but he's never going to throw 50 touchdowns in a year again.
He probably will.
He might actually. I wouldn't be
Well-
surprised.
I mean, I wouldn't be
The-
surprised
the-
if it's
the
Lamar
Bears.
Jackson, the Lamar Jackson show.
Yeah,
I
it
wouldn't be
could fall
surprised
apart.
if they have a bit of a down year.
Yeah,
Not
I
because
mean, I think this is the difference, though, is that the Titans. This is why I didn't fight you guys as much on the Titans. It's because the Titans, their offense revolves around
One-
Derrick Henry. Everybody knows that. And
But
but San Francisco's defense can pick up
Yeah.
that slack. They have one of the best defensive lines I have seen in a very long time. They have what Pro Bowler after Pro Bowler after Pro Bowler on that defensive line. They will win the line of scrimmage every time. And they have Richard Sherman can cover back there unless it's against Tyreek Hill in the Super Bowl. He can cover back there. And they just drafted Jeff Gladney, right?
Yeah,
Was it Gladney they drafted, or was it someone else?
No, I think the Vikings got it, Gladney.
Oh yeah,
Well,
the
they-
Vikings. Didn't they draft a corner though?
No, they drafted a.
I'm not sure.
I'm
I could have sworn they drafted a corner too.
I think they
Either
did.
way, even if they didn't draft a corner,
Here,
they
I'll
still
check.
have enough talent on the back end to cover.
Right.
And they don't need to cover for very long because no offensive line has been able to hold up against the Niners' defensive line.
Yeah,
They haven't been able to hold up. And I think that if you win the defensive line, it's very hard for teams to score on you. And if the Niners are fine winning 16-9 games, I don't think that it's going to come to that because I do think that their offense isn't necessarily one-dimensional. I think that they run the ball very well, but then they could get kittled. So
the one
Yeah, they
thing
drafted Brandon Ayuk.
the one thing I'm going to say is I don't get me wrong, I could see them being Super Bowl contenders. I just think Seattle is a better team than them, and that's why it makes it difficult for me. I'm big on Seattle, and
yeah,
everybody's going to learn this over the next few
I like
months or
Seattle
so.
too.
I'm big on Seattle, and they drafted a center, and you know
Mhm.
their offensive line should be better, and their offense is going to be older, and they're going to be getting guys back from injury probably. I think that they're going to be a better team. I'm not
I
necessarily.
don't think they are though. they don't
Are
think
they
so.
Contenders? Probably. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? No. Because Kyle Shanahan is the guy at the bar. He's always eating chicken wings. And he really should get the boneless ones because it's only a matter of time until he gets too into it and he eats the bone. And then he's like, oh no, I'm going to choke again.
Oh boy.
But that's a discussion for another day.
I will put
And-
them at Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, because I think the Niners, they're in a
I'm
similar
remembering this when the Steelers come around.
Oh, I'll put them.
they're in a similar boat as the Chiefs, I think. It's up to everybody else to prove that they're better than the Niners this year. Because
Yeah.
the Niners I don't think the Niners have given us a reason to say you're not Super Bowl contenders anymore.
I just think that last year the Niners were a boom bust team and they boomed, and I don't think anything changed. They have the potential to bust.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. Yeah. It's just they
That's
haven't given
why
me a
I was
reason to
trying
say that they will.
Really good.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to argue playoff, because I thought, on average, if you ran 1,000 simulations, I think on average they wouldn't make the Super Bowl most of the time. I think they'd be
That's fair.
That's still.
But I think that it says Super Bowl contender, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the definition, and they are going to to contend for that, I think. So if it were just Super Bowl, we'd just have 2 teams up there. So I think
that's true. And we're gonna have more than that.
We already have 3.
We had a conversation about this earlier.
Yeah.
Cole.
All right. I'm very disappointed. This is one that I'm most upset that it didn't get recorded, because I was so proud of myself for this.
Who changed our minds, by the way?
I mean, it wasn't.
I was thinking about this. I had a 13-hour car ride to think about where I was going to put the Los Angeles Chargers among other teams, but
How much of that
the Chargers, I decided playoff contenders because of the fact that they are just loaded. You look at Tyrod Taylor and you think, oh, they're mediocre. Okay. But look at everywhere else. Oh my gosh. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams at wide receiver. Hunter Henry's still there at tight end. I didn't even talk about him when I argued this first. The secondary is incredible. Desmond King is probably the worst corner of that bunch, and he's still a solid corner. And Casey Hayward, and then Chris Harris Jr., who they picked up in free agency. Picked up Brian Bulaga in free agency from Green Bay. That's going to really improve the offensive line. Really, the only guy that left other than Phillip Rivers was Melvin Gordon, and they didn't need him. They didn't need him. Yeah, Austin Eckler is an awesome running back, which is why they gave him a contract extension. And Derwin James. Derwin James is there too. And the pass rushers, Bosa and Ingram, they're there too. So
play a whole year. They could be really good. And Anthony Lynn can coach.
Yeah. And I said this earlier, based off of Phillip Rivers' quarterback play last year, debatably, Tyrod Taylor could be a better quarterback.
Yeah, from how Phillip Rivers played last year and how many times he turned over the ball. Yeah. And he gives them that extra ability to run with the ball. Phillip Rivers did not do that.
He's more mobile. He's more mobile, and he's more consistent. He's not really the type of guy who's going to throw the ball in the field and force it and throw interceptions. He's more of a careful check down type of guy. And I think that's going to help Los Angeles, really.
Yeah. And who would you rather check down to than Austin Eckler? I mean,
I don't see them anywhere else after this conversation earlier. I don't see them anywhere else but playoff contender.
Yeah, especially with the 7th spot. And also, Tyrod Taylor led the Bills to the playoffs. And I think that this team's more talented than that Buffalo team was.
On our last podcast, they're a pretty boomer bust team.
Yeah.
They could be another rebuilding team this year, too. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right, Colts. We talked about them earlier.
Yeah. I think that they're mediocre. I think that they can be a playoff contender. They can be. I just see too many teams in the AFC where I think them or the Colts. I'm going with the other team.
Well, it doesn't mean.
I think that.
Well, like I think that in the playoffs, they're just in contention for it.
Yeah. I think that they haven't given me a reason to say that they're going to be better than that 7 and 9 team was, because offensive line. I've hyped up offensive lines before, but they had that last year and they won 7 games. And I just don't know how much of an upgrade Phillip Rivers is going to be over Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're looking to see what can make them better this year, 3 words that just come right into my mind: strength of schedule.
Oh, true.
Rather than playing second place teams like Pittsburgh missed out on the playoffs, and Pittsburgh got help that Brian Hoyer had to get put in. The Colts still won that game with almost won that game with Brian Hoyer.
Yeah. They were 1 laces out from losing it.
Yeah, they really should have won that game. The Steelers did not play super well in that game. Now they're not playing these second place teams. They're not going to be playing the Bills.
I
think that helps them a bit.
I still don't see them like Cole said. I don't see them being any better than they were last year. They didn't really upgrade anywhere. Maybe they go from a 7-9 team to a 9-7 team because they don't have those good teams, and maybe that's a playoff contender next year.
Maybe that's good enough to win that division, for all we know.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Up in the open.
Who knows? But really, I see them as a mediocre team. They're kind of if they could be anywhere from 6-10 to 10-6, really, and we wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I could see like on Friday, the Colts are another boomer bust team, and if you didn't see that, watch our podcast.
I think that the Colts. Yeah, I said this earlier. I would not be surprised if they're hosting a game in January because they won the division. But at the same time, I'm not surprised if they're picking top 15, top 10.
I can see that. I can see them playing in January too. But again, remember this when it comes to the Steelers, boys. Category above Super Bowl. This is Super Bowl team club.
This is
Scotty. Woo! Yeah, Cole, we'll extend a high five to you maybe in 50 years.
This is a good conversation, but I think we're all going to agree on it. It's Tampa Bay, and I think playoff. I think earlier, when all the stuff and all the trades were going through, we all were saying, "Oh, I don't see them being very good. I see them being 6-10. I see them being 6-10." But I feel like they've kind of grown on all of us, a little bit, because we're all like, we've gone from that 6-10 point to that 10-6 spot. They're definitely not the best team in their division because New Orleans.
Oh no!
But Tom Brady is a better player than Jameis Winston. He's more safe player, and their team is good.
But that could.
You know, I'm gonna let you guys have playoff contender because I like it. I do like it. I do argue Super Bowl though, and here's why. I argue I do because you brought in a guy who's won 6 Super Bowls, right? You brought in a guy who's won 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
What else did you bring him in for? I mean, come on. You brought him in for one reason and one reason only to get you to that point.
Nobody's trying to be me.
Well, yeah, but I'm not done yet. I have more to argue here. Jameis Winston threw 31 interceptions last year, several of which got run back for touchdowns. That hurts your defensive stats a lot.
Yeah.
And I think the Tampa Bay defense is one of the most underrated defenses in the league. I think so. And I think that defense, when they're put in actual reasonable positions that normal defenses get put in, as opposed to having to pick up Jameis Winston's slack in terms of throwing interceptions, I think that I think they can make a run. I mean, will they? I don't think so. But I think that they absolutely have the talent. And I didn't even talk about the wide receivers yet.
But Jameis Winston is a double-edged sword. He's in between a rock and a hard place. Jameis Winston is the thing that kills that team. Jameis Winston also keeps them alive.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's not going to – the way that Godwin and Evans played, Winston's a gunslinger. And if you have a quarterback who's going to throw 15 interceptions, you might be like, oh, they're bad. No, they're gunslinging. That's what you get. They throw those balls. They just have to do. They chuck it. Tom Brady.
And you know what?
Tom Brady is not going to throw the ball down the field every play or like.
Oh, he's not. Yeah.
Often as Winston does. So I think their defensive stats might go up, but their offensive stats are going to dip because they're two very different players. And I personally don't think one can Jameis Winston hurt them and not say that Jameis Winston really helped them too.
And there are 2 reasons why I think they're borderline Super Bowl as opposed to like, they're absolutely Super Bowl. It's because they haven't showed me the ability that they can run the ball. I think that's a pretty one-dimensional offense. They're going to throw it probably 70% of the time. I don't know how Tom Brady's 40-year-old arm is going to handle that, first of all. I think he'll be fine, but you never know. And also, I don't know how well their offensive line is going to handle it. Yeah. Because I don't think that the offensive line was incredible last year. That's no secret. They drafted a tackle at 14, or was it 13? It was 13. They drafted a tackle at 13, and that's really the only improvements they've made to that. And you need offensive line to go deep. So yeah, sure, playoffs.
But Worst was still pretty. Some people didn't like Worst. He got beat a couple times. But I think they can definitely contend for the playoffs. I don't buy in on team type. I didn't buy in on Cleveland. I'm not buying in on the Bucks. I don't really even buy in on Baltimore being 14-2 again.
I mean, I just think that if you bring in Tom Brady, you have one goal. I mean, every team has one goal, obviously, but there's one reason there's one expectation for that team. But yeah, playoff contender is a good spot.
Notice us.
I'm just gonna say
Don't watch the
really
Lightning.
quick. I'm gonna say that I think Brady doesn't really fit the system that they have there. He's not a gunslinger. They don't have a run game, and Brady loves having the run game. They don't have the short pass running back. And in the past, we've seen quarterbacks who are really good, Joe Montana and guys like that, go into different teams. It doesn't really work out for them in the end.
Right.
You don't remember the last year in the NFL because it was a mediocre year. I'm not saying Brady's going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I see it as a possible big bust team, and that's why I have them playoffs.
Right.
That's fair. I think that, well, Montana didn't do too bad. I mean, he got his team to the AFC title game one year, but yeah, you see like Brett Favre with the Jets. It's like, it could be like that.
I remember those seasons.
Right.
And granted, he did follow it up with a good performance with the Vikings, but the Jets, it was kind of
I remember was Favre went to the Jets, then he went to the Vikings, threw the interception in the NFC Championship game in field goal range, then sent pictures of his to people.
Yeah, that sums it up. And before that, he threw the other crushing pick in the NFC Championship game.
Let's move on to Chicago. We talked about them earlier. I think they're really similar to Atlanta.
They're a rich man's Atlanta.
They are a rich man's Atlanta.
The quarterback play is questionable.
The rich man being Khalil Mack, by the way.
Yeah.
They've got iffy quarterback play.
I'm serious. Javi Baez or Chris Bryant is going to play at least a series of quarterback for them. That's how good. Anthony Rizzo at tight end, Ryan at quarterback. It'll work.
They have 10 tight ends on their roster. That's ridiculous.
Anthony Rizzo, Ryan. You seen Anthony Rizzo, man?
I think that
Fire.
I think that their receivers aren't very good. They have a lot of tight ends, so who knows? They have potential at running back. Their defensive line is good, but other than that, they're meh.
I think that they are a borderline playoff team. Like they could do it with the 7. They could make 7 seed, right? They could be like the 7th best team in the conference. I don't think they will, and I think they're an 8-8 team. So this is a perfect spot for them.
If they're gonna be a playoff team, every little thing, like the bounce, like hockey reference here, because might as well put Duncan Keith out there or Patrick Kane. Like little thing has to go your way. You have to get that extra inch. You have to get the call, that favorable call. Saints fans are agreeing with me right here.
Yeah,
I think that's the Bears.
If every break goes their way, then they can. But I just don't know if that'll happen.
I don't see.
I think they're just mediocre.
I would disagree with you guys and say that I don't see them close to Super Bowl or playoff. I mean, I don't.
Oh yeah, nobody said anything about a Super Bowl.
I don't really
Bears
see them.
for Super Bowl.
It would take so much for them to be a playoff contender because, like we said in the hurry up offense on Friday, me and Ben think that Detroit is better than.
Yeah, I like Detroit.
Chicago.
And I think Detroit's pretty mediocre too this
year.
I mean, I think that with that defensive line, is Akeem Hicks still there? He's still there, right? Yeah, he's still there. And then Khalil Mack's like probably one of the best defensive players in the league. I think that you have a shot with them right there. And then Kyle Fuller, one of the better corners in the league, I think. But I agree. I think that the offense isn't going to be able to do enough. Maybe Nick Foles will have another magical year, but I don't see it happening. I think he only get 2, and he had the 2. So.
All right, we're on to Dallas now, and for Dak Prescott's sake, they better hope that they're Super Bowl contenders. Low-end playoff contender. I don't see them winning the division.
And you probably understand that because a lot of people watch their first episodes. You probably agree with us there.
Well, if you watch Fox on Sunday, you're probably watching the Dallas Cowboys. So you'll understand why we say that this team is a playoff contender, nothing more. Like this team is a playoff contender. I think that they can win the division. I think they can, because who's going to do it? Them and Philly, right?
Yeah. I feel like,
and that's why they're a playoff contender.
Rich man's Philadelphia per se. I like Philadelphia more, but
I think Philadelphia is a better team.
The only reason why I think the Cowboys win the division is just because it's their turn. I mean, they seem to be alternating.
Yeah.
And no team has won that division back-to-back times since 2003, 2004. The Eagles did it. Yeah.
Good for
but
them.
playoff contender.
Yeah, and I could definitely see them being 8-8 again.
Yeah, definitely.
Be 8-8, or they could be 13-3 again.
Who knows?
They could be 13-3 again. Yeah.
Really up in the air.
Las
They just
Vegas,
haven't given us a reason to say it.
Las Vegas, Cole.
I illustrated this earlier. They're mediocre. I think that they could be a playoff contender, like not like the Chargers. I think that they don't have as good of a team as the Chargers, but I think that they could be borderline in any other year. The only team that has won 9 games that has moved cities, like their first year in a new city, was the Los Angeles Chargers. Just when they did it recently, moved to LA, they won 9 games. That's the best any team's done. That's the best that's happened. I don't expect the Raiders to, overcome that. Granted, the stadium is awesome. I drove by that on the way here. Ooh, they're almost done with it. It's going to be awesome.
If the Chargers win 9 games in StubHub Center, the Raiders go 19-0. And
Allegiant, yeah, Allegiant Stadium. The Death Star is what they're calling it. They had the black hole in Oakland, the Death Star in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it looks like the Death Star. It really does. So it's a black version of the Death Star. That's what it is.
I really like Las Vegas. I think that it's going to be hard to call them Las Vegas, but I really like them. I think Josh Jacobs, high upside player, he proved himself a lot last year. And I think that Derek Carr in the past has proven that he can play at a high level. He hasn't done it for a while, but he hasn't had weapons. And I think they're going to be better on offense this year, and it's going to help Derek Carr. And I think that, they're an 8-8 team, but borderline playoffs.
I think so too.
Allegiant is an airline.
Allegiant is an airline.
Interesting. Never heard of that.
All right, we're on to New Orleans. Let's keep this really short because we're, 1, running out of time, and 2, we don't need to talk about this much. Yeah. They're honestly probably the most talented team in the NFL.
Yeah, they are the most talented team in the NFL. They're Super Bowl contender.
Alvin Kamara,
okay.
Jared Cook, great offensive line. The defensive line is great. The middle line or the linebackers are great. The secondary is great. Okay. They choke in the playoffs, but
still it's a consensus.
It's
all right, good.
It's up to them how far they go. I think that's the bigger picture here.
Yeah,
they control how far they go.
I think they should be a Super Bowl contender, but if they choke, realistically, we could be putting them at playoff contender.
We could, yeah.
We're counting in
because they always find a way not to go.
Yeah.
The Saints also need to just get some boneless wings. They're just as good, even though they're chicken nuggets, as the wings. Really quick, guys, bone in or bone out?
I like the bone out.
I like the bone. You like boneless?
I like boneless.
I like bone in. Bone in's good.
Bone in wings chicken nuggets are fine. They're cheaper.
Chicken nuggets are good, yeah.
No,
It's easier to count how many you ate too.
I'm gonna eat either one, but let's go to the Jaguars.
I can eat boneless wings because I don't know how much I've eaten.
Exactly.
I just
I think it's easy to count. So when your mom comes back, how many did you eat?
I don't know.
A lot.
Jaguars.
I think they're
mediocre. They could win border rebuilding. We talked about them earlier. Their offense is poor. They're going to be they could be losing Fournette. He's not part of their future. And Ngakoue is part of their future. Their defense is a high upside, but their offense is mediocre.
They had a good draft. They get 2 more picks this year. I think they're mediocre. Could be rebuilding after a couple of games.
I think that they're rebuilding because there's just a lot of pieces that they don't have. Right. I think they can win 7 games, yeah. But right now I think they're more of a 5-win team. And I think
I vote to put them at rebuilding.
I say rebuilding. I say rebuilding.
I think their offense isn't good enough for them to be an 8-8 team.
Miami.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who's just as mediocre as you are.
Yeah. Their offense just isn't really good. Their defense has a really high upside, but their offense is young and not ready to do anything.
Is it the Giants?
We're on to
the Giants.
Super easy. They have a quarterback. They have a running
They do.
back. They got a pretty good offensive line. Offensive line.
Yeah, but
yes, they could use another piece, but they have. An offensive line that only needs 1 more player.
I think they're like. Their defense. I think they're like Jacksonville, but not
I would say they're the opposite of Jacksonville. They have pieces on the offensive side, whereas the
Need
defensive
defense.
side they
Right.
need to fix it.
I think that they have the quarterback of the future. They have their running back that they hope is the future,
Of
assuming
the
they don't
generation.
overuse him.
Level talent.
Their skill, the wide receiver position is just lacking.
Yeah,
They don't have people who scare you on the outside. They don't have that, and I'm not impressed with their defense either. So rebuilding is a good spot for them.
All right, Green Bay.
Packers are still Packers.
Can I start here?
Yeah.
This is a tough one, but I think that they flew under the radar last year, and it's hard to do that when you win 13 football games in the regular season. Yet they did it because they're not winning in impressive ways. I think their defense, it wasn't like statistically ranked higher, but they made plays.
Right.
The pass rushers, Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith. What?
They passed the eye test.
Yeah. I think that they're very good, and it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I'm going to put them at Super Bowl.
I agree. Sadly, they're one of my least favorite teams in the NFL. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I hate Aaron Rodgers.
Same.
I hate Aaron Rodgers. Okay,
Hey, Scotty.
he's
Scotty.
such a diva.
You do know what Aaron
I
Rodgers
can't
is going to
stand
say
him.
about that, right?
Yeah, he's going to do that.
But I think that when you go to a conference title game, you expect nothing else, and that's why
I don't see them. I don't see putting them anywhere else. Their defense surprised people. Aaron Jones got snubbed for the Pro Bowl. He might be, in my
he
opinion,
didn't make the Pro Bowl.
He didn't make the Pro Bowl. No, he
What?
got snubbed. In my opinion,
Such a
he might have
snub.
been the best running
Pro
back
Bowl
in the
system.
NFL last year. He could.
Yeah.
He might have been.
At least one of the most valuable, definitely.
Yeah, I mean Christian McCaffrey.
McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, obviously, but Aaron Jones got to be in that conversation.
I know my great aunt was a nun. She died a couple years ago. She lived in a convent in Wisconsin, maybe an hour north of Milwaukee. They were all super nice. So put the Packers on for them.
I just wanted to point out something quickly. If you notice the top 5 teams that we have, a lot of them play each other next year. So a lot of intriguing matchups next year. Chiefs play the Ravens, Niners play the Packers, Niners play the Saints, Saints play the Packers. So watch out for all those.
Put them in there for the nuns in Manitowoc. If you're watching this.
Oh, and the Chiefs play the Saints too. So
I hate the Packers, but I don't see putting them anywhere else.
Yeah.
I would say they had a really bad draft, but otherwise you can't argue against them. The Jets, they're rebuilding.
They're still rebuilding. They've been rebuilding.
Oh, wait, hold up. I have arguments.
Okay.
I'll try and keep it small because I know we've been going for a while. But I think the Jets are a mediocre team, and here's why.
Yeah, I think
the New York Jets last year with their not good offensive line.
Not good at anything.
Yeah, were 7-6 when Sam Darnold was in. When Sam Darnold was in the game, they were 7-6.
I thought, I heard that before you said.
They finished 7-9, 7-6 when he's in the football game, and I think that they got better. They got Le'Veon Bell isn't going to be carrying the team anymore.
That's true.
Yeah,
the offensive line got better. They have what they hope is their franchise tackle in Mekhi Becton. They split the carries because they signed Frank Gore and they drafted a running back in the 4th round. And
watched our podcast.
I think the Jets are not rebuilding. I think that they've rebuilt. Yeah.
I think they're a mediocre team, but they still could.
Yeah, they're not a playoff contender by any means, but they're
still rebuilding. They're a mediocre team.
They need a few pieces. They need a few pieces.
And I think we saw that potential against mainly the game I'm going to look at is the then Oakland, right? Yeah. They blew them out 34-3.
I was about to say, don't you dare
beat the living crap out of them. And that was a team that at the time was 6-4, I think. And they were fighting for playoff position. And the Jets beat the living crap out of them. So
the Steelers pretty handily, and the Steelers were in a playoff fight.
Yeah.
And I will never forgive them for that.
Yeah.
I think they should be in Super Bowl contender, guys. What are you in stock?
I would say I don't see them as being – they could be, but I don't see them as a top 2 team in the division. But I do see them as a team that could possibly like sneak
They-
into the 7th spot. It
They
would be a
can do
really
damage.
surprising thing, but I can
Mhm.
see it. But I could also see them being absolute dog and losing a lot of games and going 4-12.
Oh yeah, their schedule is pretty tough, so I'll give you that
Yeah.
one. I was doing my predictions, and it's just like it's hard to see the Jets winning some of those games. But I think talent-wise, they're mediocre. I think.
I think mediocre is a good spot.
That's what they get for being the Jets.
Buffalo, pretty easy for me. They're
Playoff.
going to win that division. They're a playoff contender.
I'm
they're
Yeah,
not,
agreed.
they're not super.
They're not Super Bowl.
Playoff
I think that
contender. Really good team.
they need to prove that they can go on a run. They had what was it, a 13-0 lead at halftime against the Texans,
Yeah.
and they blew that lead. They have to prove that won't happen before I can say that they're a Super Bowl contender. I think that with Stephon Diggs there, they could make a surprise run, but they haven't shown that they can win the big playoff game.
Right. So
Yeah.
this year is very telling for the Bills.
I mean, they lost
Yeah.
a big game to New England
And they
that
could
they
also-
probably should have won, but they couldn't hold on to it.
right.
Yeah.
Outplayed New England.
And I just want to point out that Jim Kelly, who's probably they're one of their top 2 best players all time,
Who's the other?
he said Bruce Smith probably, but he said that if the Bills do not win this division, I quote, something is wrong.
yeah.
When one of the best players of your franchise says something is wrong if you do not finish first place out of these 4 teams, the bar has been set.
Aren't we
Yeah.
gonna-
Win the
aren't we
division.
gonna- This guy
Like,
lost 4
The
straight
king is gone. Brady's not there. Go take it.
Yeah, he's one of the best players in their history, but I mean, like, what's he gonna say? You lost 4 straight Super Bowls, dude, and you're gonna get all about winning the division?
Houston.
I want to hold up a hand gesture to symbolize what the Bills would say to him if I was the Bills, but one of our earlier things that we had to stop doing because
Jim Kelly is Jim Kelly's awesome. I love him.
was making
I
me
do love
laugh.
Jim Kelly. Can I start with this one, or do you guys want to start with this one?
Go ahead.
I think still playoff contender. I think
Yeah,
that they're still there. They obviously didn't replace DeAndre Hopkins by any stretch of the imagination,
But they
and it
got
was a
Brandon.
questionable move. Maybe I don't think it was a questionable move to trade him. I think it was a questionable move based on what they got for him.
That was
Yeah.
just horrible.
And then what
But-
they did.
I mean, I guess if you wanted out though,
I still think that they are a 9-win team at least, based on what they have.
I think they could. I think there will be
I mean, Deshaun Watson is one of the best players in the
right,
league.
and he's
He's in his he's going into his this is gonna be his 4th year, right?
Yeah.
And he's already the best quarterback they've ever had.
Yeah.
Granted, they've only been in existence since 2002, but still the best quarterback they've ever had.
better than like Derek Carr.
Yeah, he's an incredible good player.
Remember when they gave
mhm.
Brock Osweiler all that money?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Good times for them.
He's for me. He's the reason why I'm agreeing with you guys and
Right.
letting.
Yeah,
him
honestly.
be.
And Deshaun Watson.
If they didn't have Watson, they wouldn't be a playoff contender. They might even.
Yeah, they might be rebuilding if they didn't have Watson.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson is criminally underrated because he's in the
Honestly.
same class as Mahomes.
All right.
Mhm.
We're gonna move on to Arizona. Ooh,
I'll let you guys start with this one.
I was
I
gonna
could
say
see them
playoff
being-
contender.
But I could.
I
see
was
them-
going to agree with you.
All right, there we
I
go.
can see them being a mediocre team, but this team is a really big boom
Yeah.
bust team.
This
They
is-
surprised a lot of people last
this
year.
Yeah.
and they got better.
This would be. The
I think that
if it wasn't for Tampa Bay. You got your young
Yeah.
coach, the rookie Heisman winning quarterback from Oklahoma who played really well. You trade to get one of the best receivers in the game. Although Hawkins is a lot better than OBJ.
I think that this is the most improved team of the offseason.
Yeah,
I think that they are. And
they were the
it's
most
time.
improved team
I was picking the season, and I was looking at their games. Like I do week by week, and I pick the games, and next thing you know, I see the Cardinals are 8-5 in my predictions, and I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, how'd that happen? And it's
Yeah.
just because they improved and they can win a lot of those games.
And
Yeah,
their
agreed.
system optimizes what they can do. They've got a lot of guys in the air raid. You can use Hopkins to stretch the field, work underneath. The air raid loves it.
I
Yeah,
could see
absolutely.
them mediocre with
I
poor
could see them
quarterback
busting.
play.
Oh, they
but
could, yeah.
Or defense. Yeah,
I like them at a playoff spot.
Yeah, I like where they're at.
Yeah,
Uh,
and we're forgetting about Chandler Jones, who gets like at least
How is
15 sacks every year, it feels like.
How is he?
Okay.
All right, whatever.
Detroit.
He is my guy.
Like we said, I would say mediocre. We said
I think mediocre. Yeah.
Me and Ben said that we think they're better than the Bears.
Yeah, I think they're mediocre.
But they're still mediocre.
I think they're another one of those teams who's they're a mediocre team,
But they have potential.
But they're still rebuilding a little bit. They're like
I think that
they built their house. Now they're just doing the outside.
They're painting.
They're painting the house.
I think that injuries killed them last year. That's my take on their season. They are much better than 3-12-1. They are much better than the third worst team in the league. And I think that's why they didn't trade away the third overall pick like a lot of people thought that they would, because they recognize that they have the potential to win maybe 9 games, right?
Yeah.
So I think that they are mediocre. I think that's a good spot for them.
I would agree. Quarterback play is going to be better this year because Stafford's not hurt. Running back play is going to be better. They drafted running back. Receiver play it could be better because Golladay could outperform what he did last year.
And how is he?
And Marvin Jones was hurt down the stretch. He's going to be back.
Yeah.
I think that on defense, I think you traded Slay, right?
Yeah.
You traded Slay on defense, and that's obviously a hit. But they drafted.
Yeah, you get a younger, arguably better version of Big Play Slay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got Desmond Trufant on the other side.
Yeah. I think they're mediocre, and they need maybe a piece or two to put them into contention.
I'm gonna say thank you to you guys. You guys have helped me feel good about it. Detroit.
I thought you were talking to the people watching.
I quite like Detroit. They're probably my favorite team, and I normally feel really bad about them, and I hate watching them because they always lose.
Well, unlike
But I feel okay about them now, guys. Thank you.
Back to mediocrity with Jim Caldwell.
People watching us. I don't know if you were. I thought that's what Sky was gonna say. Like, I'm gonna say thank you to you guys who are still watching us. If you're not just fast forwarding to the end, like I do whenever I see a tier list, just to see where.
I don't give them any ideas.
If people even still do watch after the first podcast, which is, yeah, that's so good. So thank you if you're watching.
All right,
you're cool.
Tennessee. We talked about them before. Cole wanted them Super Bowl contenders, but
I did.
Beat him down to playoffs because
we gave you
of Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm. I say Super Bowl. I'm going to reiterate why I say Super Bowl contenders, but also why I think that you guys are reasonable in your assumption of playoff contender. Super Bowl contender because, first of all, you made the conference title game. You expect nothing less, right? Second of all, I don't think that Derrick Henry hasn't given me a reason to say he's not going to be as good. He hasn't shown anything that said, oh, he's going to have a bad year. You know, they are one-dimensional, right? They are. But nobody's shown that they can stop him, and until that happens, I'm not going to say that they're not Super Bowl contenders, but playoff contenders is a good spot for them because they are probably the best team in that division right now. And, you know, they're not as good as the Saints or the Chiefs or the Ravens. I do admit that. So even though they beat the Ravens.
And in the regular season last year, we talked about this, Derrick Henry, he kind of ramps it up at the end of the season, typically. Mm-hmm. And if he gets hurt, their offense could fall apart. If people start to understand how to stop him, their offense could fall apart. There's too many variables for me at least, to say Super Bowl contenders, which is why we're going to add to this extremely long list of teams that could make the playoffs.
Remember when you guys probably don't. Well, you guys don't because you weren't there for that. Yeah. Remember when, or the people watching don't because they weren't there for that. Remember when we thought mediocrity was going to be the
we thought mediocrity was going to have 2 columns.
Everybody's a playoff contender. We're very nice.
Carolina. Everybody is a playoff contender because you never know, right?
Wait. All right, so we realized that we should have done this for the Lions. So it works just. I want to hit it. It's much more. It works just as good for the Panthers.
Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. I think it works better for the Panthers because Lions don't really make that sound. Really though that would have worked really well for the Jaguars too.
Yeah, Jaguars. Penn State uses that all the time, which you gotta
love. Carolina.
We are Penn State.
They are. Every time I hear that song,
they're rebuilding.
Oh, Penn State. I hate Penn State. Yeah. They're rebuilding.
They're rebuilding. I think so, and here's why. Here's why. I think that they have a lot of pieces that need to be fixed. They got Teddy Bridgewater to upgrade at quarterback, right? And Christian McCaffrey is obviously still Christian McCaffrey. But what were the
lost-
problems last year, right? The secondary was a huge issue, and they
and
didn't.
now they're losing Kuechly because of he's retired.
Yeah, and Kuechly retired. Like,
Dotson-
I don't necessarily think that they've gotten better despite the addition of Teddy Bridgewater. They could be better. I just think that there are so many holes that they just have yet to fill. And it's just a long road, I think.
All right.
Looking here, these
That
teams,
was I think it.
Yeah.
I agree.
these
Pretty
ones here
easy.
look like they're pretty easy. It's
Seattle
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
I think Super Bowl, yeah.
Yeah!
I think they're
Let's go.
they're borderline playoff. I do. I think that they're out of these top teams, I think they're lower ranking than some of the teams up here. But Russell Wilson, you can do anything with Russell Wilson. That's the
Yes.
bottom line.
So happy.
You could Russell Wilson can carry that team all the way. And I think that
just-
they were 1 yard away from hosting the playoff game against the Vikings, which I think they would have won, right? And they would have gone to Green Bay anyways, but I think that they were 1 yard away from winning that division. I think that says something.
Yeah. That's not
the
a
only
Seattle
bird. It's
sound.
the-
That's
only-
not a Seahawk.
The only bird we got.
I
I got a little fun fact about the Seahawks mascot. So a Seahawk, the bird that's based off of is actually called an osprey.
Yeah,
So an osprey is often called a Seahawk
because Seahawks is an awesome.
because what the osprey will do is it can like dive kind of in the water and get fish. Like not like an eagle where it swoops, but it'll like plunge in kind of and then fly back out. So that was just a little animal fact about the Seattle Seahawks mascot.
That's not a
And it's
Seahawk.
also
either.
That's not a Seahawk.
Yeah, Super Bowl. I love Seattle. I used to be really big on San Francisco, but I don't really like some of their players, so
Yeah.
I don't really like them anymore.
I think Seattle can beat the Saints.
I really like Seattle.
They can, yeah. Especially if the Saints choke.
They're one of the most unpredictable teams in the
Mhm.
NFL.
I think
And-
also one of the most underrated teams in the NFL.
Seattle gets underrated.
I'm really high on Seattle. In fact, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be surprised if they won the division.
Yeah.
I'm really.
I
high
wouldn't
on-
be surprised. I don't think they're going to, but I would not be surprised. Yeah, they were 1 yard away from it last year, so I don't see why they can't do it this year.
I have high
Also not.
expectations for them. I really like them, and honestly, I hope of the NFC teams, they're probably the one that. I mean, I would love it if Detroit was in the Super Bowl, but of the NFC teams that actually have Super Bowl aspirations or realistic ones, I really hope to see Seattle in the Super Bowl. They're a really
Yeah.
entertaining team to watch.
Yeah,
too.
Seattle's.
They are an entertaining team to watch. Yeah.
All right, Cincinnati. They're rebuilding.
Wait,
yeah, I
hold
think we all.
on. We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah. Okay. You said that more smoothly in the first run through.
If we're saying our team's affiliation with the Bungles, I might as well just call them the Bungles. The Bungles are still rebuilding.
Yeah.
If
Don't
you're-
worry, Bengals. I'll stick with Bengals for you guys to balance it out. But
If you're Jackson Rubin's team, please don't get mad at me for calling them the Bungles. Same thing if-
yeah, they're rebuilding. I think the offensive line still has work to do.
Yeah,
I think the
Jackson-
skill positions are good. I like the skill positions. Joe Mixon's a solid back. Wide receiver, they're very good at that. They're set at wide receiver. Defense though, oh my, they got a lot of work to do there. They signed Trey Waynes in free agency, which is a start, but it's not going to be enough to make up for what they were last year defensively.
It's like you said, Cole. Joe Mixon's really good at beating defensive lines down. And all put people in restaurants. Okay.
Wow, that took a
As my
turn. All
friend Scotty would say, switching gears now.
right.
Credit to the fact that there's gears along
There are.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
there. There are
Gears.
switching gears.
Switching gears. Washington.
Man, I really made Jackson Rubin's team mad.
I think Washington is.
They're still
They're
rebuilding.
rebuilding, and
They're rebuilding.
I think they're.
Frankly, I think they're tanking. we
like
don't
the
have a
Redskins.
tanking section.
I like the
Yeah.
Redskins. I like DC teams, but they're Dan Snyder's skins.
Yeah.
Honestly.
They're not good at all.
They- And can we just point out where this team was just a few years ago before Alex Smith had that horrific leg injury?
Alex Smith got
They're
hurt.
really
I had them winning the division before Alex Smith.
They
got
were
hurt.
going to win the division.
Yeah.
And you
They
know
were
what?
winning.
Dak Prescott's one playoff win wouldn't have happened. because
No.
the Redskins would have been in that game instead.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
and that was something that we talked about on Monday, which you probably watched.
Yeah.
Everybody's watched that one. Go watch it.
I love it's pretty even. It's pretty even. We have a lot of playoff contenders, but everything else is pretty even.
Big support out
Oh
there.
yeah, they are even.
I want to put my support out there to Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's a brave decision to try and come back to the NFL.
Mhm.
One that
He's working really hard.
One that
Yes.
might not be the best decision because he's going to be very injury prone when he comes back.
Mhm.
But he's working really hard, and
Yeah.
you can't let that go without notice.
Yeah, the fact that he's able to walk is amazing.
And you know what? He broke my heart a lot. He did when he was with the Chiefs. He really did. A lot of tough losses to the Kansas City Chiefs, but you got to respect what he's done. I liked him a lot more once he left Kansas City, I got to say. And I wish the best for him. He's a great player, great quality person. So.
That he's claps in part for the doctors who help him to get to this point.
Mhm.
The fact that he can walk again is a testament to the miracles of modern science. But
Definitely.
Let's
gotta
move
think
on.
about what's happening.
Let's move on to the next Los Angeles. I think they're mediocre.
Mediocre at best.
I think so too. I think they are borderline playoff though.
Yeah.
They are. They could do it. They could do it. And here's why. Boy Genius is over there on the sideline, and who knows what he's going to come up with next, right? We don't know the extent. We don't know how deep that magic hat runs, right? We don't know. He could come up with something completely new and shock the world, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that they're mediocre because I haven't seen what's in that bag of tricks. And I think that in order to put them any higher, I'd actually have to see it. And right now, they're mediocre.
McVay can make all the good play calls he wants, but Jared Goff could still just derp his way games.
Yeah.
And they have yet to prove that they can win without a healthy Todd Gurley.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Two big things. They relied a lot on Todd Gurley. And they don't
Which is
have him
probably why he's about done because they relied on him so much.
The second thing is the NFC is much tougher than the AFC.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The AFC that are playoff contenders are not contenders in the NFC, and they're in the tougher division. They're
That's a
mediocre.
really hard division. I don't think they get.
They're in the. I think they're the worst team in the best division of football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to the last team before we get to our teams.
The ugliest girl in pretty town.
The Cleveland Browns.
Mediocre.
Mediocre.
I'm about to win Jackson
Mediocre.
right back when I say that the Browns. I said, sir, the Browns are mediocre pieces of.
Yeah. Not a big fan.
And it warms my heart that they are.
They should have been so much better.
They really should have.
They might be the most talented team in the NFL, but they don't have
Maybe.
discipline. They don't have a great coach. They didn't have a great coach. Who knows this year? They don't have discipline. They don't have a leader. Their locker room is a mess, and all of the players are really inconsistent.
And you know what I have to say about that?
And
guys, you know what I have to say about that?
probably yay, right?
Cleveland sucks.
No, the laugh track doesn't sound like a laugh track.
Well, what I say about them is that they had the talent to win last year. They had the roster to win the division last year. Obviously, we didn't know what Baltimore was going to be going into that year. So a lot of people thought, including me, thought they were going to win the division. And I was wrong. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. They need to show that with this talent, they can actually do something with it.
I thought it would be Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I didn't really see.
Yeah, you were right all along.
I basically predicted that division, except I switched Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
I did not believe in the Browns. You guys can't. I had no faith in them.
We're going to move on to the first of our favorite teams. We're going to move on to Denver.
All right, I'm going to start making my case here. I think that they are mediocre.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
I was going to say the Colts are better than Denver, and the Colts are in mediocre.
Well, that's not. I don't think. Yeah, I think the Broncos. Here's the thing with Denver is that they really bought. They really did buy. I think they are mediocre. I'm going to make that clear before you guys give me the what faces.
Yeah, I
they
thought
are mediocre.
You were going to make the argument for playoffs, and I was about to be like,
no, I think that they are. They could do it. They could. It's the same thing with Indy, though. I just see too many teams in that conference that I say that team is better.
Yeah.
They could do it, though. I think that they really did a good job this offseason, though. They went out, they got Melvin Gordon. I think that's going to be a good piece to Philip Lindsay. They got Jarrell Casey, and they already had Von Miller and Bradley Chubb on the outside. So now they have a disruptive force on the inside on top of that. I mean, they got AJ Boye. They let Chris Harris Jr. walk, but AJ Boye actually fits what they want to do better because Chris Harris Jr. is a slot corner, and they put him on the outside a lot last year. And AJ Boye is an outside corner that can put him out there the way they want. And they drafted 2 wide receivers in the first 2 rounds. So hopefully some more explosive offense. And really, it's just Drew Lock's prove it year. Drew Lock just needs to prove that he's the guy for the future. And if he is, I don't see why they can't go to the playoffs. They just haven't showed me that they will. So that's why they're mediocre.
Penn State fan here. KJ Hamler is one of the most electrifying players in college football.
Yeah.
He should have been first round pick. That's a steal for you guys.
All right, we're on to the 2 best teams in NFL history.
The best is yet to come.
6 Super Bowls. Yep. I don't think you can dispute it.
Hey, we did
6.
technically.
Yeah.
The Steelers are not. Wait, what are we doing?
6.
Oh yeah.
6. Yep.
By percentage, the Steelers are not even top 10.
Let's just put the thumb doesn't really count as a finger, so you guys just said 4, but whatever.
That's still more than the Broncos.
Yeah, it is more than the Broncos. I know.
I mean, my win percentage. Fun fact: the Steelers are not top 10 in league win percentage.
All right.
Because from 1933 to the 70s, they were.
They were so bad.
They were so
New
awful.
England probably isn't either. They were
I
so
think
bad.
Denver might be actually. Denver might be because they've been consistent. And I think that these seasons have been the first time in a while where they had consecutive losing seasons.
Who's more likely to get to 7? Who's going to be the first team to 7 Super Bowls? The 49ers and the Cowboys each have 5.
Pittsburgh.
I don't know. I think San Francisco is a good shot.
One before the Niners win 2.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh wins one.
Let me tell you something, Scotty.
Pittsburgh could, yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Well, let's go New England.
I'm going to make my argument, and I know you guys are going to decline me, but I see New England as still being better than every single one of the teams in the mediocre list. I would say they're worse than all the teams in playoff contender, but I see them being better than all the teams in mediocre.
Scott, I wholeheartedly agree.
Okay.
It pains me to say this, but Belichick is
it's not going to change. It won't.
Yeah.
And Scott, you say that Belichick loves Stidham, right?
Yeah, Belichick loves Stidham.
Well, you know what that probably means, right? That probably means that the man works his butt off every practice, and that's how Tom Brady got to where he was. So,
yeah,
I see no reason why New England can't be a 7th seed and sneak in.
I agree. I still think they have the best secondary in football.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get to the defense.
Yeah,
the defense didn't go anywhere. They're still there.
I think Stidham. I mean, their linebackers almost all left, but they drafted there a little bit.
Kyle Duncan.
Yeah.
He was so mad.
I was so mad when they drafted.
You were so mad.
But who knows? He could be good.
Yeah,
if Belichick likes him, I like him. It's
or was
okay.
it the dog? Because then Belichick wasn't at the table. I was like, oh, no wonder it's the dog.
I really think that their offensive line is really good. Their receivers are not the best. Their running game can be very good. It can be. It has potential. Sonny Michel, when he plays well, he plays well. And Jay White, he's up there as one of the best pass-catching backs in football. If Stidham plays well, their offense could be decent. I'm not saying it could be good. I'm saying it could be decent. Whereas
you guys aren't going to win by offense. That's the big thing.
Their defense,
your offense isn't going to be. I don't expect much out of your offense. I'm expecting your defense to bail you out enough.
Yeah. Patriots haven't won with offense since they beat the
Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
Or even you could argue like Seattle in the
since they beat the Falcons. Really, I think it's the last time they won with offense. But
they definitely.
Well, actually, since they lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl is really the last time offense really led them. I think, but since then it's been the defensive show.
Yeah, but okay, you guys are putting me in playoff. I'm really happy. Thank you.
All right.
Pittsburgh.
Now, the greatest team in NFL history, the Steelers. Now, it's pretty clear what I'm going to
I
say.
say,
Wait, can I make my argument first of anybody?
You guys get to make your
No, no,
arguments
no, no,
first.
yeah, let Ben make his.
Wait.
In the
His.
spirit of
This
fairness.
is shocking stuff.
No, in the spirit of fairness,
Wow.
I'd like to go first, and then I will let you
Okay.
guys go. I'll be brief.
Okay.
With Roethlisberger coming off that injury, the offense is still a big question mark.
Yeah.
And the defense, they were top 5 in their categories, and that was when they played New England and Seattle, and back when New England's offense was scoring 30 points a game before they traded for Fitzpatrick. Ever since then, that secondary is very good, up there with that of New England. If Terrell Edmonds has a good year, it's going to be the best one. Front seven's is crazy. Hayward, oh, come on.
I'm talking about the secondary.
If Terrell Edmonds is good, bro, Hayden and
I like our
Nelson,
secondary so much.
Hayden and Nelson are a solid cornerback tandem. Who's Cole talking about, like, with the Dolphins?
Gilmore and McCourty.
Okay, yeah, still. That's good. Okay, yeah, whatever. Cole's like Byron Jones.
Byron Jones. Have you watched
Who is
it? They're
better back tandem than those two?
Yeah.
what? I disagree, but I do think they're playoff contend. I do
Okay,
think that the Steelers are playoff contenders.
Can I make
so.
my argument now?
Oh yeah, and TJ Watt.
Can I make my argument now?
What?
Sure.
You ready?
You better
Yes.
if you see mediocre, I'm slamming your computer. Oh, God,
Pittsburgh.
He's got my phone.
Pittsburgh
He's gonna
is
say
my
Super Bowl.
favorite team in the NFL.
What
I'm
a
sorry,
coincidence,
Ben.
because New England is my second least favorite team in the NFL.
I
What a coincidence.
hate Pittsburgh so much. Okay. With that being said, they're Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
That's why I
Super
wanted to
Bowl.
go
This is on
It's
camera.
shocking.
It's on camera forever.
first.
Well, I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders.
All right, let's hear why.
And
Well,
here's
I'm just-
why. Let's look at some of the teams that we have as not Super Bowl contenders.
I see
I
them
am
as-
not about to sit here and say that they're better than Tampa because I don't think that they are.
I think they are. I think they
Yeah.
are.
I don't think they're better than Tampa.
Oh, come on.
I don't
You're gonna
think
say
that they're
like-
better than Tennessee.
What was that? What was that? I clicked on one by mistake. You're
Um,
gonna say. You're gonna
I
say
think that the big thing is that you guys could be Super Bowl contenders. You could go, right? You could. But you haven't shown it. That's the thing. It, like you said on one of our podcasts, Tommy John surgery is
Tommy John
so
destroyed
hard to come back from.
football.
So hard. You said it destroys pitchers, right? What makes you think that it's not
Good
going to
offensive
destroy
line.
Ben Roethlisberger? I
You
mean,
can still run the football.
yeah, you
Dude,
can,
like-
but James Conner gets hurt every other week. I know. I had him on my fantasy team.
Ben Snuff played really well. For
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say
Pittsburgh's gonna win like New England. They're gonna win with a good defense and good quarterback play.
I'm
Besides,
not-
And I don't think that I love Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden's awesome. And Minka Fitzpatrick, definitely good. But I think that the secondary isn't as good as I guess you're hyping
Green
it
Bay?
up to be, right? No, they're better than Green Bay. Yeah, they're better than Green
just
Bay.
don't-
And
Bay is a better offense. You
Yeah.
cannot deny that.
yeah, okay, yeah, true.
The
But-
one thing I'll say is, no matter what happens, I would say Pittsburgh has a better offense than New England.
well, yeah.
They have a better defense, but Pittsburgh has a better offense. I
I mean, you're comparing them to another team that we have in the playoff contention category, which is I think is where the Steelers belong.
I think they're the opposite of Tampa. I think I'm going to
Yeah.
move them down. I think they're the best playoff team, but
No, I gave you guys some. Give me this.
Hey, you put Broncos
hate
in
the
mediocrity,
Colts.
and I was fine with it because that's where they
the Colts
belong,
in
right?
mediocre.
It's
Give me
Pittsburgh. I think is a playoff contender.
this. I have
They
so
could be a
little.
Super Bowl contender. They just need to
We
show
haven't
it.
won a Super Bowl in over 10 years. I have so little. It's been 10 years since we were there. Like, no.
stop it.
I have so little. Oh, come on. I gave you guys so many. You're not going to give me this?
I'm sorry, Ben.
That is bull.
Okay, now let's get to the good stuff. We're gonna hurry up.
It's
And-
15. It's quarter to 11.
Yeah, I know. This is a long video.
This is so long.
This is a super long video.
It's too long.
Oh, welcome to our time zone where it's not 9:47.
All right.
yeah, I know.
A long video is probably about an hour and 15 at this point.
We're gonna skip the water break, right?
Yeah, no, we already skipped the water break.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
skipping the water break.
We did like 50 takes. We got our water break.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Honestly.
that let's speed this up. It's just everybody gets one statement for this, or maybe even just one vote. We're gonna order them in every spot. Okay. We're gonna order them. So it's the Super Bowl contenders. We'll start the. Actually, no, we'll start at the bottom with the rebuilding
Yeah,
team.
let's start at the bottom.
We're gonna put them in order. We're gonna make kind of a
So is the best going to go on the left or the right? Are we going
the best goes
best?
to the left. The best goes to
Okay.
the left. Okay. Washington, I think, is 32nd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I
All
agree.
right. I'm gonna say I think.
I think
That's tough. I
They're actually
got.
those are fairly solid.
I think Bengals could be 31, maybe Giants.
I think Giants are 31. That would be my.
Yeah,
vote.
I see it. All right, we'll roll with it.
Which is kind of sad.
They're all kind of in a good enough spot.
They're all like
I
the
mean,
same. I mean,
I'm just salty. Let's do something real quick. In the spirit of you guys
Okay,
outvoting me, I'm gonna move it
We're
right
not
there. I'm
doing it
moving
yet.
right
We're
there.
not doing that yet. We're not there.
I want us to be Super Bowl.
Okay.
I'm saying
Ben, you can make fun of us in February if the Steelers get there. How about that?
no, you
No, you
pronounce
can't make fun of me. I wanted to put them in the Super Bowl.
Cole. Yeah,
You make fun of me. You make fun of me if the Steelers get there,
Cole,
and then
you
I will
mispronounced-
admit that I am wrong.
Cole, you made the mistake. You pronounced when as if. That's just wrong.
All
Um,
right.
Wait,
okay.
you vote Super Bowl. Why are they up there?
Because I changed my mind. I'm sorry.
I hugged you twice.
I'm sorry. I think Carolina is the
Get
next
'em,
team.
Mott's. Get 'em,
Yes.
Brandon.
I think the Bengals, but
Okay. And
yeah, I
then
think Bengals.
Bengals, and then Carolina.
And then I think it's a perfect order right here.
I would like to do that.
I think the Dolphins are a better team than the Jaguars right now, but I could see it. So yeah, we'll roll with it.
Okay. Moving on. Oh, this is tough.
This is the hardest. Okay, let's just pick out the worst team as a bunch here.
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
I think
No.
right. My gut says Falcons right now.
I think mediocre is perfectly set
No,
up.
Falcons are not the best team.
No, I'm talking about the other end.
I don't think.
I think Falcons are the worst team of that
Fine.
bunch right now.
Jets or the Falcons.
All right, I would say
Yeah. Yeah.
Falcons, and yeah, Jets, sure. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Falcons.
And then
Jets,
I think the Lions or the Raiders, but
no, but we think we personally say that the Lions are better than the Bears. So
Yeah.
okay, that's fine.
Bears are,
I think the Raiders then.
Bears are
Ooh,
above the Lions.
I actually really
Browns.
I think it's Browns Rams, honestly.
Okay,
Or
Browns,
not-
Rams.
Not Rams. Browns. But I think the Raiders are better than. So I think the Raiders are better than Detroit.
Wait, are the Bears
and
better than the
Chicago.
Lions? Or?
No. But we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay,
We're
so
still
down.
here. I think
Mhm.
Cleveland is there. Yes, Cleveland is there.
I think Denver's better than Cleveland. That's just me. Because
I think-
Denver did beat Cleveland last year. We have to keep that
Yeah,
in
but
mind.
I just
And
I
the
think-
Browns didn't necessarily get much better. The Broncos got a lot better. That was with Brandon Allen. I think that's worth
Big-
considering.
No,
The big thing is that Cleveland got a new coach who isn't Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Denver improved. I think we're underestimating how much they improved. I think that they are better than the Browns and maybe the Rams.
but I'm not putting them any further than that.
All right, that's fine. Yeah, sure. I think that they are
the
better than a
Bears.
lot. I think that the Broncos are better than the Raiders, personally.
I would put the Bears here, honest opinion, and then I would put the Lions here.
The Rams.
I think that the Raiders are a little too
And
far
I
up.
would put the Raiders there.
Still a little too far up.
Too far? Okay. So what if I went like that?
Yeah. that's fair.
You have to get to back past the orange square in order to make that work.
Pittsburgh
Because
needs to go
the
up.
Broncos, I think, are a better team than the Raiders.
Fine.
I think this
I would.
is
I'm not gonna. Like I said, I'm not gonna move them further, but I'll put them there.
Yeah.
I think the Broncos are a better team. That's just they are. That's what I think. I think it's also going to be hard because they just moved cities, which is the other reason.
Didn't you say that?
I'm just saying.
No, you did say that earlier.
I think the Raiders are a team that I could see making the playoffs, and I don't see the
Yeah.
Broncos making the playoffs.
All right, fine, we'll leave it then. I think that the Colts could be in a good spot there.
I think the Colts are the
I think the
best.
Colts are the best of this.
Because I still think the
All right,
Colts.
that's fair. Yeah,
I think that order is good in my opinion.
that's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's pretty good.
The worst of these teams.
Probably.
Ooh, it's tough. I think New England or maybe Philly.
I think the Eagles are better than Dallas.
I think so too.
I think New England's probably. No offense, but I think New England's the team that sneaks into this column.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, even though we all said that they're there, I would still say that's probably.
Yeah, I think that all these other teams are just more talented. Then again, New England could make the Super Bowl again and shock us off, but
Yeah.
Then I would say, in my opinion, it's got to be Dallas. Oh, Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, Houston. I think Houston's a good spot for that. And then I think Minnesota's got to be considered to go next year.
No,
No, I
Minnesota's.
don't think so.
I like Minnesota.
I think
more
so. Or the Chargers.
than the Bills
frankly.
and the Chargers.
I like Minnesota more than
I think the
Dallas.
Chargers
That's
are
my
probably
big thing.
in a spot where they get to move back.
Chargers.
I think the Chargers are the next one here.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
Chargers have got to get moved back. I think.
All right.
And then maybe Philly, Dallas, Minnesota.
So I think we could go.
No, I like Minnesota.
I like
Minnesota's
Minnesota more.
Minnesota should be in an upper half.
Then Philly. All right. I think the Cowboys win that division
I would
personally.
say, I
But
would say this. Arizona
Yeah,
didn't.
all right,
Arizona-
yeah.
Make the
Right,
playoffs
if we're
last
using proving it as a thing, Arizona being there makes sense.
year.
Yeah.
If it's not proving it,
And then I would say, yeah, I could put Minnesota.
Vikings. And then
Yeah, I like-
Buffalo.
put in a spot more like that.
And I think
and,
Buffalo.
I still think Minnesota might be better
Okay.
than Buffalo, but yeah,
And then I would say that.
thank you very much.
I would say that's a good order.
Thank you very much.
I mean, between the Titans and Bucks, it's pretty tight. And frankly, I think those top three teams could be switched around anyway.
Yeah,
But this is fine. We'll
I
make
think-
Ben happy and put him first.
All right. As far as the top here, I'm gonna say Seahawks are in a good spot.
Yeah.
There, yep,
I
perfect
think
spot.
the Seahawks win the Packers, though, personally. Even though the Packers beat them in Lambeau.
I would personally put San Francisco next because they have.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at the 2 times last year that San Francisco played Green Bay,
San
in
Francisco
no
played-
way can you say that the 49ers were not the better team.
Played Seattle, where Seattle beat them
Yeah.
and then lost by, like you said, a yard.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it, again,
And
what were the scores? It was like 37-8 in favor of the Niners, and then it was 37-20 and a lot of garbage time points by the Packers in that NFC title game.
yeah, but
I
we're
just don't see how you can put the Packers as the better team with what the 49ers did to them last
I
year.
just think that the Niners are going to have a much more difficult
Yeah.
schedule next year than
Right.
they.
Well, yeah, that includes the Packers, who they beat by like 20 points each time. You know?
Seattle missed out on a home playoff game by a yard, and that
Yeah, they
was
did.
playing against harder teams.
And Seattle played San Francisco tough. Green Bay did not. Those were easy wins for the Niners. I think that you have more of a case to put the Seahawks above the Niners than you do the Packers,
Really?
just because of that reason.
I still
then-
like Seattle more than Green Bay. Yeah, that's better.
All right, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Chiefs, Ravens, Saints. Yeah,
I think that order is good.
that's good.
I
And I
like
only-
New Orleans a
I
little
would-
better
I
than
would
Baltimore.
I would
but
like to put New Orleans here,
But
but they're
Yeah.
so.
I like it better than Baltimore. I
if
mean,
we're using the you have to prove it part of that
I'm
too.
so they're so unpredictable.
but I
because-
mean, again, that applies to the Ravens because they were also a one and
Look
done.
Yeah,
with
but-
this tier, that should be right there. There we go. That's beautiful. What are you doing?
a wild
Oh,
a
it's
wild card loss
No, it's
to
ugly.
me
Yeah.
versus a first round bye is just
right.
All right, I do think the Saints are the more talented team of the two, though.
Okay, I would agree. I just think that Baltimore, they might not be as talented. I think they're better though. They've
Mhm.
got more grit in them. That's a good word to
Yeah,
use here.
grit.
They've got more grit.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Saints lack the how do I phrase this? Testicular fortitude to win the big game when it counts.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's PG.
So quick, let's go through the list quick here before we close out.
Our ability rankings.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. 32, Washington. 31, New York Giants. 30,
Bungles.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Bungles.
29, Carolina Panthers. Where's the
Down there.
Carolina Panthers? 28, Miami Dolphins. 27, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Is there a dolphin sound effect?
I don't think there's
No, where am I at?
I don't know.
26?
Just start from 1, go down.
26.
Just don't say numbers.
26, Atlanta. 25, New York. 24, Cleveland. 23, Denver. 22, Vegas. 21, Chicago. 20, Detroit. Ben.
Technical difficulties.
Detroit.
They don't really make that sound though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know. 19, Los Angeles
Rams.
Rams. What?
Why not?
18, Indianapolis Colts. Stop it. 17, Patriots. 16, Texans. 15, Chargers. 14, Cowboys. 13, Cardinals.
That's good.
Uh,
Good.
12, Eagles.
That one's not.
11, Vikings. 10, Bills. Wait, I think I might be off. 10, 9, Titans. 8, Bucks. 7, Steelers.
Woo!
6, Packers.
Sure.
5, Seattle. 4, San Francisco. 3, New Orleans. 2, Baltimore. And finishing
Wait, no.
it off,
Hold on. Say Baltimore again. That's our
finishing
opinion.
it off, Kansas City Chiefs at number 1.
All right. So I think 2 questions should be answered here.
Yeah.
Which of these teams are like the most over, like they were too high?
Yeah.
I think that-
well,
I think that's a talk for
I
another
think
day.
I think we can't say that really
Right, and I think that's something that we could talk about
in the future.
at length.
But
Yeah.
comments, tell us what you think about our list. Please don't be mean.
Mhm.
But tell us what you think about our list.
Unless you're saying that Pittsburgh should be higher, then say whatever you want.
See, I feel like Pittsburgh rank wise is good. It's 7 is the good spot for them.
7's a good
The
spot for
question is
Steelers.
7 here or
Uh.
7
No.
here in
I'm
my
just saying,
opinion.
no, Tampa Bay is not better than us. That better not have caused that.
Okay. So yeah, that's the end of our video. Thank you to everybody that I always think. No, thank you to Tier Maker for this platform to allow us to make this tier.
Thanks, Tim Raker. You're the
Thank
best,
you
Tier
to the
Thanks.
NFL teams.
For
Thanks to
for
Big
being
C.
somewhat easy to rank.
Thanks to YouTube.
Big C
Thanks to our sponsor who we don't have, but you guys are
really shit sponsor. us.
really
We're so
needing to
good.
sponsor us. Thank you to us because we've been
Thank you to
many
Scotty's iPhone
hours.
for messing it up. Scotty's iPhone it up, people.
Thank you to us for being here for many hours.
Yeah, we're the best.
Thank you to you guys for watching us for this long, and
And
we're
thank you for
gonna wrap it up really fast now because it is 11:01 and I want to go play NHL on my.
Yeah, I haven't even had dinner yet. So.
Oh my
we'll-
gosh!
Yeah, thanks you guys so much for watching our videos. The whole week, it's been really fun doing these.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Please watch them again. We need the views. Like them. Don't like them again because that ends up not liking them.
Yeah,
Comment. Follow us on Instagram. Ask us questions. We'll get to talk about that. We're so desperate. for
Yeah.
questions.
Give us stuff to talk about. Ask us questions.
I
Say what you liked and did not like about the list.
do research on sports like golf and bowling. If you ask questions about it, I will do.
Or curling.
I will.
little teaser here. We're looking to have another tier list next week, and we're looking to have our first guest on for that tier list, hopefully. So,
Ooh, who can it be?
yeah.
Yeah,
this has been
wonder.
the Football Podcast. It's our
YouTube
first
edition.
YouTube video, and it's the end of our first full week.
First full-fledged
Um,
YouTube video.
We'll be back next week with more of the same, and we're looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.